and we didn't get. I mean, it was stormy, nothing like what North Central and
Ugh,
the West is. We got flood issues like crazy over there.
yeah. Up in North and South Carolina, there's tremendous flooding. It's like they were not expecting that at all. So I saw a couple of pictures and posts and people displaced, and my niece had to leave her house. She lives in South Carolina and she's right on a river. So,
Yeah, I saw that in the news, and I think that was totally unexpected in that area.
hmm,
Just the amount of flooding that they've gotten from this event.
yes.
Well, welcome everyone. I'm glad to see Brian and Natalie. Thank you
Good.
guys, and Donna, of course. She was here with our last one. So I appreciate your attendance. This is kind of an informal thing where we can chat about, what's going on in the world of comp, what's going on in your part of the world of workers' comp. Kind of free flowing. I don't have much structure to it. Just, a time for you to get together and chat about things that are relevant to you. I'm going to try to schedule these out in such a way that they hopefully fall on different days of the week and at different times so we can coordinate time zones and everyone's crazy schedules and all that. So I guess to get started, we'll just go since um, you know, Brian and Natalie, you're kind of new to this forum. We'll start with you guys with what we did last week. We just went around to, do some introductions, let people know what's going on, what's on your mind, and just kind of go from there, sort of free flowing. I'll go ahead and start with you, Ms. Natalie.
What's on my mind? Ooh, that's deep. I thank you for having me, Frank. I feel like I, of course, know Donna Check very well. I feel like Brian, you're probably on my list of people that I feel like I know, but I've never met. So I'm very excited to be on this forum with you today. Frank, when you said you were going to put this together, I was intrigued by the titling. So I thought that was extremely creative, what you chose to call these sessions. And congratulations on, bringing another realm of discovery and communication to workerscompensation.com, because you have such great content. So I'm always it's a pleasure to be part of, your offerings. Um, what was on my mind today? I was really just getting ready for an amazing week. So, as you can see behind me, it's still very bright and gorgeous here in the Midwest. Like this perfect part of fall is here. So, while I understand many areas of the country have experienced some tremendous weather, the Midwest is always a very calm, normal place to live. um, so we have a beautiful fall here, and really kind of taking all of that in. I've been enjoying a little downtime from travel, which had seemed like it was very crazy in August and parts of September, but really just kind of taking some time over the last couple weeks to connect with all of those wonderful individuals that I had met in person at these conferences, and continue all of our discussions as it relates to things like case management and return to work and early intervention, and a lot of conversations about data analytics and how all of that um, overlays in those categories of service and support of injured workers. And I will always describe myself as a return to work specialist. I feel like the intention of our industry is getting injured workers back to good health and meaningful work. I understand there's a compensation factor to it, but the bottom line is that is the intention of our industry. And I'll be very blessed to celebrate 10 years in the industry next March. I can't believe that. But it was really just about this time 10 years ago that I had this pivotal moment at this restaurant that I was running, that I just wanted to serve mankind in another way other than literally serving them. I wasn't serving them, but I was running the restaurant. But a different way to serve mankind. So that's really how I ended up on this screen today. And for those who do know me really well, I'm very into that. Like, what moments in life brought you into the ones that you're in at this moment? And that was truly it. So, and I feel like that's on my mind a lot too. So I'm a deep thinker and a free thinker. So that's me for today. Hi.
Well, excellent. Thank you, Natalie. And I'm eagerly looking forward to reading I just received it, your next expert analysis column for us. So I appreciate that. Great way to start off my week. So there we go. And on the topic of return to work, I think that's a good segue into Brian Allen.
Thank you. Can you hear me okay? So I didn't have a chance to do a sound check beforehand. Okay, great. Thanks. Well, it's great to meet you all. Natalie, I followed you, online and not like an online stalker, but just reading all your stuff and same with Dawn. I feel like I know you both, even though I don't know if I've met you both personally, but and I've talked to Frank a lot, but it's amazing in this world that we live in that, you can share so much information and see, I mean, there's so much stuff out there. But yeah, there are certain people who sort of rise to the top, and you two are definitely two of those that I follow carefully. So, and all the stuff that Frank puts out is great stuff. So we're big fans. I've been around workers' comp for 40 years actually. As I sold insurance, I was an insurance agent for 20 years, sold comp. As part of that, I've been working on policy and workers' comp for the last 20 years. So I've been around it for a long time. And then of late, one of the things, I think the reason Frank invited me to be on is I'm a co-founder of a company called Optimized Outcome Solutions. And we are focused on educating injured workers about their role in their own recovery. What I came to realize after 40 years in workers' comp, or 35 years, I guess, in workers' comp, that everybody that's in the industry is trained really well in what they're supposed to do, except no one ever trains the injured worker. Injured workers are clueless. We have relied a lot on the healthcare professionals and others to kind of provide information that we hope injured workers are getting. But the way that medical care is delivered now in this country, there's not the time that the practitioners have to really do the consultation that they would like to do. So our role and our goal is to train them on, getting their head in the right place, eating the right kinds of food to help their body heal, making sure that they're, getting proper rest, and also making sure that they're following their instructions about, get up and move. I mean, the more that you can get your body moving, and the more that's within the guidelines your doctors and physical therapists give you to do, you keep doing that, keep moving. There are all kinds of studies out there now that show that if you walk before surgery, if you are physically active before surgery, your surgery outcomes are better. If you eat the right foods before you have surgery, your outcomes are better. If you get your head in the right place before you have surgery, your outcomes are better. So we've taken a lot of that science and put it together in a program to help educate injured workers on, your job before you got hurt was whatever you were doing, but now your job after you got hurt is getting well. And you need to approach it like that, and you need to put some time and effort into it. And so we help them do that. And it's been successful. The people we worked with have had good outcomes. We partner with, other people, case managers and other people who are working with the injured worker, and we partner with them and kind of are a supplement to what's already happening out in the industry. But it's really injured worker focused, and the people that we have that are coaches are all people who've had a major injury and recovered, made it through that process. So it's a peer-to-peer kind of coaching program, really, more than anything. And it's been good, and we've enjoyed it. It's been a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun, working with injured workers. A lot of fun seeing them get well.
And that's been for me, it's been such an interesting perspective that you and Harvey bring with that concept of coaching, because, when you think about it, if any of us were just injured on our job, for some of us, it might be the first time that we've ever had any kind of surgery, and we have, no idea what to do before, after, and we're just kind of running blind. And then, trying to get through that, and then be in the position where you can get back into work like you were before. I mean, it was so brilliant that you guys teamed up with the late Bill Walton, because of, kind of his perspective, and someone that underwent multiple surgeries over the course of his basketball career, and had so much expertise to bring. That's, such a novel, but when you see it laid out, then it's kind of like, well, that's obvious. In so many other areas, we wouldn't expect someone to just get turned loose on something that they're totally unfamiliar with without any kind of training or guidance. And I think some of that is kind of what we touched on a little bit last week, Donna, with case management. We didn't lose Donna. Might have lost her. She's kind of frozen on my screen.
Yeah, she's muted, I think.
Yeah. Oh, we'll wait for Donna to come back around. Yeah, so it's a very, that's and I love when you guys send an expert analysis column that's sitting there, and it's an enjoyable read. And I think like it's kind of one of those things where you read it and it's like, well, why hasn't someone thought of that,
Mhm.
before now? But
Yeah.
uh,
Well, that's kind of, I mean, it is kind of a fundamental thing, but I think it's evolved because, when workers' comp first emerged, their doctors were more, they had more time to be consultative. They had more time to talk to patients
Yeah.
about their role in their recovery. But now the way medical care is delivered, I mean, I would tell you, I had 2 knee replacements, last year, and the instruction you get basically is if you have an infection or if see red inflammation, bleeding, something that doesn't look right, call us. But they don't tell you about get your head in the right place.
mhm.
Eat this kind of food. Eating Cheetos and watching Dr. Phil isn't gonna help you get well. You've gotta do this. There's things that you need to do as a patient, but no one tells you that. And I mean, I think case managers do some of that, but the problem that case managers have is they've got a heavy load to carry,
Mhm.
and they can't really handhold a lot of the. I mean, they handhold them through the process of getting care, but they don't always have time to handhold them through the process of aftercare. And what do you do? Like what's the right kind of food to eat? How do you create a good meal that's going to help your body get well, and how do you prep for surgery and all the kinds of stuff that goes on that we try to do. So we kind of view ourselves as going hand in hand with case management to really help people get themselves on the right track and get themselves better.
Absolutely. I think I heard you now, Donna.
I'm here.
Oh, there you
Okay,
go.
good.
Hi. Um, I love what you do, Brian. That's amazing. Thank you for sharing that you're following. But that's amazing. And my experience working with, catastrophic injury, um, the people, you're right, like nobody tells anybody, how it's going to work and what they need to do. That's also, I guess it's also for anybody that's having any type of surgery or going in for any type of a treatment or rehab. What are you going to expect and what is the outcome going to be? Is it going to be, it's frightening. So I think
Yeah.
that's amazing. How long have they been doing that particular business?
So we started doing research on it probably about 7 years ago, but we actually launched our first pilot 3 years ago. So we're in our second big pilot now, and it's going quite well. We've had actually it's kind of been weird because we had people have stumbled into us that are just like healthcare patients, and they've paid to do it on their own just because they wanted to get help. So I mean, we had a guy that was going in for heart surgery. He was scared to death, didn't know what to expect, and so we helped him through, and he did super well. So it probably has application outside of workers' comp. We haven't really gone there yet, but I think that's our next step. Once we get it
Mhm.
going on work comp, we'll probably reach out to the general healthcare community and see if there's a place for us there.
I think that would be wonderful because I know that there are some of the doctors, what I call the health doctors. I have, there's a doctor that I know, her name is Jenister Wilson King, and she still is a gynecologist, board certified. And I guess about 15 years ago, maybe 10 years, I don't know, like I lose track. But she decided to go into like complete wellness. And it started out with women, and she has a lot of men that she sees, and they pay privately. And a lot of it has to do with, she does extra blood work and testing. So I think that there's definitely a calling for that because she's very successful
Yeah.
at what she's doing. And I think it's all private pay. I don't think, maybe the blood tests, because she's writing an order for it. But everything else that she does is, people want to know how to get better, how to feel better.
Mhm.
That's a lot of applications for that.
Oh yeah, I think people. I mean, we had one of the first people that we worked with. She got hurt at work, and the first thing out when we explained to her what we did in our program, she goes, "I love this." She says, "I'm
Mhm.
35 years old. I don't want to be the person who never goes back to work. I want to be able to get my life back." And
Wow.
that's what people want. They just want to get their lives back.
Yes. Yeah, it's true. Most important. We don't focus when we say outcomes, I don't know, in rehab, the outcome is really that you're going to be your best person. Whatever it is that you have, get to the max and, give it your all. So, and it has a lot to do with the experience that you go through. So what you're sharing is, I think that's really important. I like that.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Natalie, so, you've been on the topic of data analytics of late. You want to give us a little bit of what you've been learning?
Yeah, it really was, well, initially prompted by the fact that I was being immersed in it because it's part of what we do here at the Kingstree Group. We're a disability management firm, but we're really fueled by data analytics through a proprietary piece of software that our CEO had designed. And I was so excited when I found out that it was 17 years ago that she had designed that. So she was really a pioneer in this way. Well, I mentioned it's been nearly 10 years. It feels like it was a very, I don't know, in the last handful of years discussion that this data analytics piece really emerged. And it was right around also when I was really hitching when my heart piece was really struck by return to work. I had somebody close to me at the time who was an injured person, not in work comp. We were working through the Veterans Administration um, outlooks and process, which I noticed was very similar to workers' compensation. And while the VA leaves a lot of things to be desired for people who have served, um, I was finding this love of being part of the return to work process because I could be instrumental in creating a really positive experience for injured workers, which was really what brought me to wanting to work for this organization. But this data analytics piece that we have, which is called The Bridge, is part of our triage process. And we actually take the injured worker through a brief assessment, which gives adjusters and claims managers and employers a real dual advocacy approach through data analytics, which was interesting that it was I could take this, something like data and make it, part of the experience by giving this score for those people to know, what the severity of the claims may be in the very, very early on um, of the claim. So that was all just very fascinating to me because I noticed that we're really a tech firm as well as, delivering case management. So I thought that was very unique in our offerings and our services. And it's just been really fun to dive into that and see all the different ways that it can support the best outcomes with that dual advocacy approach, because I feel like advocacy was kind of well, it wasn't kind of, it was used as a sexy word about 5 years ago as I was really diving into return to work and this notion of advocacy. And people were using that a lot. And I would ask people, how do you advocate for injured workers that you're working with? And I know that I could ask Brian that, and I know exactly the type of answers that I'm going to get from him because that is true advocacy at its core, what you're doing for injured workers. And those were and it's interesting that the universe has brought us all together on this call because those are really what's needed in our space. So what I'm really passionate about now is, coming together with people like Brian and this, organization that I'm representing now, and, putting those type of things together to give the best experience for injured workers. I came from hospitality before joining the insurance industry, and our focus was on creating customers for life. And while we don't really want to do that in work comp, we certainly don't want repeat guests, right? But we do want people that would turn around and say, that was not what I was expecting. My experience of getting hurt at work and coming back to work was going to be like. So that's really how I'm trying to move forward in 2025 next year, with that kind of focus, is really the injured worker experience.
Was there anything, in your hospitality background, did you have much experience with workers' compensation? Was that something that uh, you were involved with at all?
Um, I will lovingly say I've done everything from work the dish pit to run multiple units in restaurants. And so people would become hurt. But I don't recall like being very involved in that process. So the first job I got in workers' compensation, I found on Craigslist nearly 10 years ago. And I remember that individual asking me, what I knew about work comp, and I'm pretty sure I said all I knew was that was the process of when someone, had become hurt at work, and that was the process that they were going to go through insurance and recovery. And that was the extent of what I knew. And I'm still like, to this day, will think I have my arms wrapped around everything. Don't you ever feel like that? Like, oh, I finally got it. And then all of a sudden something new comes and you're like, oh, I had no idea about that organization or about that service or about something completely brand new in this space. And that's what also keeps me very enthralled in this work, because it is an incredible opportunity to learn and grow from, learning about different approaches in medicine, legal precedent changing from jurisdiction to jurisdiction. It's just really pulls at all of the things that I love. So it's very interesting industry, and I love to stay in it.
Yeah, I was mentioning that last week on our call. It's just that when I got into it, sort of kind of by luck, honestly, some bad luck that turned into good luck. I had sort of a conception of what workers' comp is, and mostly like it's about stats and regs and, how much money is due to someone. And that was kind of like what I thought. And then you get into the space and you start meeting people and seeing how it works in real life. And there's so much to it. I mean, it's actually a very fascinating and interesting space and industry, and the various ways that it, sort of affects workplaces. I mean, there's a lot to it, and I mean, you sound like a total nerd when you start talking about it, but like, there's a lot in it, that the kind of popular conception of what workers' comp is, you have no idea. I think we lost Brian,
Is he in
but that's okay.
Florida too?
Uh, that's a good question. I'm not sure where Brian is.
Mm.
Yeah. Um, so well, that's okay. Maybe he's off the grid now. Power power outages. Someone's having a power outage somewhere.
Yeah, I think there's a bit of that.
So what's the temperature in Wisconsin right now?
It's again going to be like 78 today.
That's beautiful.
78 and 60 we're really down to for lows, and the fall's really coming, but it's been a gorgeous September. And all we just say is no saying the S word. So
No.
um,
Yeah. Yeah, don't
'cause
say that.
all of a sudden, it happens, and no. So but yeah, it's really quite beautiful. Perfect fall up here in the Midwest. Colors are going to start turning for sure.
Yeah, I used to
Donna, I
love
don't,
traveling in Michigan when I was going up. The colors were just beautiful, and it was very fast fall. That was it. Anytime I go up North Carolina, traveling, you get to see all the different seasons that everyone has. So I kind of miss that, but I don't miss getting like snowed in someplace, you know, and sitting at an airport or sleeping at the airport. It's not comfortable, particularly if you're carrying your luggage with you. So, but I love the fall up there. It's gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous. Miss it. I'm sorry, Frank.
just gonna say, I don't know if you had the same sense, but here, since the storm left, it just feels like a steam bath. Like,
Yes.
oh my gosh, this weekend was just like the hottest, muggiest weather I think I've felt in a while.
I texted someone yesterday that's in Texas, and because she was asking, how is, everything. And we had a lot of debris around here. We were just very blessed that, we did not see anything even close to what other people experienced. But I was in my car, and she said, how hot is it there? The only thing I noticed was going out of my air conditioned house right into the car was, it was, I almost want to call it soggy, is what, right?
That's what
And
it feels
I'm
like.
driving, and I'm looking right at, the steering wheel. I actually took a picture of it and I sent it to her. It was 96.
Mm.
So I said, it's 90. I think that's what I texted her. It's 96 and it's September 29th. And that's, this is not normal. The whole country, the weather is, not a normal situation. So
So suffice it to say, Natalie, in my mind, I'm going to Upper Midwest fall to, you know, deal with the long end of summer in Florida.
mhm.
Yeah. Yeah. It's, I have many of friends in the South and they love to come up here and escape that.
Mhm.
But I also love coming down there when it's like that. Like as soon as I get down, I like to feel the tropical moisture coming into my skin.
Mhm.
It's yeah, it's beautiful down there. I love the tropics.
Yeah, it's different than when you fly in. Every time that I've gone into like Arizona, anywhere, and Texas, that heat, you know what I'm talking about? The heat, like you can actually feel, like right on your skin, you can feel that hot heat. And here, you're drenched, but it's much better for your skin, is what I've told. So that's probably what you feel too. Is it's a good feeling to feel that moisture versus the dry hot. So, hi Brian.
Brian's hopped back on when we were talking about skincare there, so a perfect
Oh yeah,
thing.
so
Brian,
Weather.
yeah, we had
where
we had like a little power bump and all my internet shut down, so all my devices went cold. So I'm on my phone, so that's still
Oh.
working. So my
where
internet's down. I'm in
I
Salt
should
Lake,
know
so
LA? Okay.
no, Salt Lake City.
Oh, Salt Lake City. Okay. All right.
Yeah,
So you're
not sure what happened. Just a little glitch. Probably somebody hit something somewhere.
just knocked out the pole.
That happens.
Oh, excellent.
Anyway, I'm back. I apologize for that.
No, no, not to worry, not your fault at all. We're happy with the people have to come and go, that kind of stuff. I think we've gotten accustomed to over the last 4 years. Can remember in the early days of the pandemic when everyone was just getting used to Zoom and trying to figure out how to mute themselves and unmute and all that stuff. So
Remember when we used to just do a call where we would just share our screen and everyone would call in, that no one had this
uh,
obsession with needing to have people on screen?
Mhm.
Or now the return to office discussion is really resurged again with
Yeah.
some of the larger companies, um, making their demands, insisting of individuals to come back into the office. Have y'all all been virtual before the pandemic?
it's So this company went remote before the pandemic. My understanding is it's just to cut down on um, costs with the space, and they figured out that they could do the work just fine remotely with a minimal office presence. So it's been no issue. No one's even hinted at we should have some kind of return to office, but it's definitely not the case for, like Amazon right now. It's a big deal.
Yeah, and I've been hybrid for 20 years, and then almost fully remote since right before the pandemic.
Yeah. My whole
Yeah.
time in this industry, I have been, since that job on Craigslist, I have been remote. And I
Yeah.
remember initially considering it, like, I thought the job was, I wasn't sure if it was legit at first because of the fact that it was virtual.
On Craigslist.
Yeah, and Craigslist. Yes. But it was legit. But I can't imagine going to an office. Like I've only been remote, and I don't know. Yeah, I was just pondering it last week as all of these new return to office orders, like you mentioned, Frank, Amazon. There's a lot of folks then who work for Amazon that if you look on the LinkedIn commentary, you can get their perspectives on what they were saying. And um, it seemed like the overwhelming response from workers on a variety of levels, from high level executives, leadership, and so forth, was that the work can be done and has been done for all of these years now, without being at the office. How do you guys feel about it? Do you feel like do you feel like you're better when you're actually with people working in person, or do you feel like you're better in a virtual environment?
Well, I know in my case, I'm traveling so much, and I'm at conferences, speaking at conferences, attending conferences. So I'm on airplanes and hotels. A lot of my remote work is done that way. So I get plenty of people time and FaceTime. I don't feel like I'm lacking that. I think I'm fortunate because when I go to a conference, there's hundreds, if not thousands, of people there. When I work at home, it's nice because it's quiet. I have grandkids that live next door, and every once in a while they pop in, but it's generally I'm uninterrupted. Um, if I'm in my office with the door closed, nobody bothers me. My wife doesn't come in. She's like, she'll bring me food and water. That's to make sure I'm alive. But I mean, the reality of it is, I do a lot of research work and I do a lot of reading, and so it's just nice to have that quiet time. And so, and if I'm in an office, so I do a lot of what I do is I do government affairs work as well. So I do, consulting on policy, and especially like a year like this with politics being what it is, it's actually better for me because if I'm in an office, people want to come talk politics, which is fascinating stuff, but it doesn't help me get my work done. And here nobody wants to talk about it because it's just me, right? And if I want to read about it, I'll go on the news sites and look at it. But I mean, this is a year where there's a lot of crazy stuff going on, and it would be a distraction for me to actually be in an office because that's all anybody wants to talk about. They want to talk about the latest scandal, they want to talk about the latest craziness, and there's no shortage of any of that this year. So, I mean, for me, it's nice because I have quiet time and I can dedicate my time to the things I need to get done, which is nice. So and I get my face time when I'm not talking to people, which I love that.
Yeah. Yeah. I feel a lot like that too, Brian. I have the privilege of attending many conferences for my employer, and um, yes, have an incredible amount of in-person engagement that I feel like fills that cup for me in that interaction piece. That I don't feel like I'm missing something, which is incredible arguments from the top of those large organizations insisting that their people need to come in. Very curious to see where those are going to go as they continue to make those demands on people.
I worked for a company for years that anytime someone said, can I work from home? They said it was just not possible. They would say it's not possible. I can't do it. I have no idea what you're doing, that kind of thing. And they were just so against it. And then of course, when the pandemic hit, you had to. I mean, like they didn't have a choice anymore. And um, I found that at least I could be a heck of a lot more creative when I had the work from home
Yes.
opportunity because, like Brian said, I can go into my little makeshift office, close the door, and, don't have those distractions. I was a cubicle worker for years and years. And, you've always got some kind of distraction. You're trying to concentrate and you just can't put thoughts together like you can when, like everything's cool. I can go into my room at whatever time I want and do, my creative work, my thinking, get it done. Um, so, I can't I can't really see any case for a company saying that you have to be here 5 days a week, especially what we've been able to do for almost 5 years now in a remote space or a hybrid space. But yeah, interesting times for a lot of places.
Yeah.
I think
sure.
it was proven that, we can do it. You don't have to be in the office. And I think that's the issue that's coming up now with, the big companies that are demanding that, their workers return into an office when it's been proven that they work and they're making money, that's for sure. We know Amazon's making a lot of money, so. But anyway, when I first started doing a Zoom, and I'll tell you, it's too bad we didn't have, like, it was a public company, we could be taking stock out in it. The end of March of 2020, started a weekly Zoom for just everybody to kind of get on and see each other. And that was like one of the best things to, I think, prepare people for the business meetings because we would just talk. And, mostly just a lot of it was women, some men or came on, but we had large groups at times. And it was just an amazing thing when you think about the technology that's involved with this right now, that all the things that we're able to do with webinars and, Zoom meetings and just the registrations, on for registering for anything at all of that, I think came about right around that time that it was really, I think it was global at this point. So I think a lot of people, I were to go back into, I was on planes and flying and, in New Life and in and out all the time. So when you think about that and you're running around, when you are now like stationary, it is a completely different experience. But just as you said, the creativity, and also there's like a freedom that you have. And sometimes the freedom is not helpful when you are remote because I will continue to work, until, 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock. I know Natalie doesn't like to hear that because I'm supposed to be doing self-care and everything. Right, Natalie? But it's something that happens because you're trying to finish something. But the difference, I think, is when you are someone that is working from home, or as we call it, remote. I'm my own boss and my own business at this point. But I can also, if I don't want to do something early in the morning or I want to take that time, I can. So it's that flexibility that a lot of people that are able to do that, not everybody can. They still have to clock in and clock out, I would imagine, if they're working remotely from a big company. But that is the other nice thing about being remote, is the creativity, is the hours, and when you feel up to like doing something creative. Because I'm sure everybody has that time when you want to have something, you have to think of something and you can't do it. And then all of a sudden, as you're in the middle of something else, you get, oh my goodness, I'm going to do this, I'm going to write this, and it comes to you. So that, I think, is it's a very positive thing in ways. But I think for the companies, some companies they don't trust the employees, and I think that's what a lot of the employees think, that they're not trusted. So now they have to come back in the office. So I think that might be one of the factors. Anybody else think that?
Yeah, I haven't really I haven't really heard a case articulated for, especially what like Amazon is pushing for right now with, like 5 days in the office. I haven't heard the business case for that other than I suppose they have space that they want to make
Right.
sure is getting used, and that doesn't seem like a great argument, especially from the workers' perspective.
Mhm. Yeah. Do you have any other warehouses near you, any of you? Because they build these warehouses that I've never seen buildings. They're, I guess, 1 or 2 stories, or I guess they're 1 story and they're high, like Home Depot would have like the levels of storage, but they are taking up like acres and acres of,
Yeah.
that's how big the buildings are. They're acres and acres and acres of just buildings, and they're all of a sudden you look and there's a building, and you know what it is because the Amazon trucks are coming in and out. But it doesn't have a sign, by the way, that says Amazon, which is, like, what's going on in that building over there? And they're all kind of in fields that were, nothing, or orange groves as it is down here, farmland and stuff. But it's, I don't think those are working environments where somebody has to go and work at a desk. It's obviously the people that are shipping, so. But huge.
Yeah, we've had several built around here. They are gigantic, and they are. I mean, they're primarily distribution centers.
Yeah.
They put product in there, which I love because sometimes I can order something and get it the same day. I mean,
Right.
I ordered something the other morning. It was like I think I ordered like 7 a.m. and it was here by noon. It was like it
Instant
was like
gratification, right?
ink for a printer. Well, it's something I needed because my printer was out of ink, so it was good to get it. But it's crazy, yeah. But I think it depends on the industry that you're in
Mhm.
and what the expectations are, and it also depends on the kind of people you hire. There are some people that I was the COO of a company in part of my past life, and there's some people that just need supervision. They can't really work independently. I mean, it's just the nature of who they are and what they are. And I think it's different in different levels within the company. Somebody like me, I work all the time. I have a sense of duty to my work. I want to get it done. Take great pride in getting it done. So I'm going to work when I have to work to get the work done. But I think it's just kind of a different. So I never want to be too critical of a company because I don't understand always the dynamics of their personnel
Mhm.
and what the
Sure.
job expectations are.
Yeah.
And it could be that in some cases they need those teams together to function more effectively or more efficiently.
That's true.
So it's different. And I think every industry's got to decide for themselves what's right for them, what's right for the people that they're working for. I will say though, some of the people I work with are, they're still raising children. And I think the remote work environment has been helpful to them because if there's a problem at school, it's easy to get away and get right to their local school because they're at home, they're close. So there are some benefits for the employees for being able to work from home. And I think if you have the luxury of doing it, you just need to I think you have to be vigilant, make sure you safeguard that luxury. Say, do your job, make sure you're doing your best, putting your best foot forward so that there's not a reason for them to want you to come back into the office. As long as you're getting the work done, I think people are going to let you do what you need to do. So, but I think for many people, it's been a real blessing to be able to be at home, be close to what's going on with their families, I think I'm a big believer in family first. So, I mean, I think if you can create an environment where people can be more engaged with their family and still get work done, that to me is a win-win.
Mhm.
Hey, y'all, I have to get off this call because I have another
Mhm.
one coming up in a
That's good.
moment. So
That's
thank you
right.
so much for letting me join you, Frank, for this comp and circumstance. Donna, Brian, a pleasure to share the time with you this morning. Please
Thank
stay
you.
in touch.
Yeah,
Thanks, Nat.
absolutely. That's
Great to see you.
probably a good time to wrap up anyway. I've got the next one penciled in for a week from today at 2 p.m. Eastern. I'll send it out. If you can make it, great. If not, no worries. I just appreciate the time and I've enjoyed it. So thank you guys.
Thank you
Thanks.
so much.
Great
Appreciate it.
chatting with all
Everybody
of you.
have a nice day.
Yeah, have
You
a great
too.
week.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye now.